The church had grown, so they'd moved to 2 services on a Sunday to accommodate people, and they'd then started to outgrow the building that we had just further out of town. So starting to look at other options that might be available, and then came to look at this building in early 2017. It's such a well-known building in the area as well, so there was a lot of interest in what was happening to the building, and just a real sense in the community, I think, of people wanting for the building to come back into use, and for it to be in such a central location to start actually being something that could be used for the community.
So we started as the AV side, and then as the kind of scope on the project kind of became more clear, effectively we had the skill set within the company and through our relationships to be able to facilitate the contract side as well. So in a church context, we've kind of got 2 things to consider. We've got the worship team on stage. You've then got the congregation as well that are kind of 180 degrees on the other side. And we don't really want the congregation to sound like they're in a studio or feel like they're in a studio. We sing in the shower, right? There's a reason we sing in the shower, it's because it sounds awesome. That's the kind of experience we want to create for our congregation, is that actually when we're singing with 700 other people, and we're shared, there's that unity.
To make the space work properly for the congregation and for anyone else that might use the building, then the audio-visual system was really important to making the space work, not just within the auditorium, but throughout the rest of the building as well.
So I suppose our main remits were creating a space on the stage area in particular that allows the worship team to do what they do really well, and then to create a space for the congregation to really participate in that. And that meant for us trying to control flutter echoes and those kind of site-specific acoustic issues, and also a general control of RT60, so reverb time, kind of trying to find a balance of those 2 things. The hill system that we've put in is the M10 tops with the MS2 and 8 subs. The M10 tops are natively kind of 120, 140 degrees wide on the coverage pattern, so naturally lend themselves to a wider room. We've opted for a PTZ system here. It's by a company called Eden Broadcast, the PTZ Pros. PTZ systems, especially once we take COVID into account, we definitely saw a big influx on their appropriateness for situations. In terms of volunteer numbers, we don't need to man every camera, so one user can control 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras from a central point. So PTZ's fitted the bill really nicely here. They're a good balance of cost and performance. All the fixtures we've got here are all LED fittings. Obviously the power saving is incredible. The reduction in maintenance compared to traditional lamp fixtures is obviously significant as well. So we've got one of our proprietary house light systems in place here. Integrates with the desk. It means when the desk's turned on, the wall plate controllers that have preset scenes stop working so that they couldn't accidentally be switched on during the middle of the service. The lighting engineer has full control over them. Being a cinema that we've been converting, there's a lot of space and additional side rooms, so that the church has a lot of flexibility around how those are used. We've
got the large screen downstairs, and that's been an area where if people don't want to be in the main auditorium and they want to be a bit more spaced out, they can go and sit down there, and then the whole feed from the auditorium just comes out down there as well.
A big part of our role is to do the handover, so show them what they've got and how it works, and then also training, showing them how to improve as engineers, how to improve as operators. The first point is power distribution. Everything switches on in a single location pretty much. In terms of audio, we're using digital desks, which obviously allows for scene recall and those kind of features that get you in a very strong ballpark to get started. And again, we can simplify the view that those users have access to if that's appropriate. Same goes for lighting. We're on a digital Camsys Quick Q20, I believe it is. So rather than literally mixing on the fly on the hoof, we can actually do some work in advance and set up some recall things that mean that a user with less experience is able to do a very admirable job, and a user with more experience is able to kind of have a bit more fun. For video, we've got the PTZ camera system, of course, with a PTZ controller. That controller lets us pull up presets as well. For example, one of the cameras is set up ready for if the congregation bring in some kind of contribution at any point. Maybe somebody wants to share something. The guys are able to use the camera for that, but there's also a preset for the baptism pool, for example, which is just down to stage left. We can hit that button and immediately that camera switches to the correct position to capture what's going on down at the baptism pool. So things like that, we've got presets for all the different cameras. I guess the other thing is even with things like the radio mics, we're using Sennheiser, and all the radio mics go into a drawer that's got the baked-in chargers, so you don't need to take the batteries out of the systems to actually charge the systems, so you know you're ready to go.
So I've had very basic training on all of the systems, really. I'm not good at sound. I can't do the desk at all. But the lights and the cameras, I've had kind of basic instruction on how it should be, knowing that all the presets were in. It doesn't feel too daunting to suddenly go, actually, there's nobody there to do it. Can you drop in and do it this weekend? It's kind of a yes, I can get it switched on. I can use basic functions on it. If it needs anything more complicated, probably not. But the system is, it's set up with all the presets, so it doesn't take too much to be able to get everything on and to a position that, you know, works for the room.
It's such a significant undertaking that we usually expect a 2-3 year kind of turnaround on those kind of projects. And then throw in the extra challenges of COVID and those kind of bits in, you can see why it's taken a bit longer than maybe at other times. But again, the final product, the final finish of the project, we're really, really pleased, and it's been fantastic catching up with the guys over the last few months as well, and finding out now that they're fully into the building, like how's their experience been, how can we support them onwards from there.